Well, here we are at Haven Park, within a few feet of General Porter's monument, which we'll get to in a minute. In the meantime, I do want to call your attention to the fact that there is a recent book about Porter's Secret, focusing on Porter's statue and describing General Porter's story. It is by me, WAYNE SOINI. Illustrated, among other things, by photographs by New Hampshire photographer Doug Kerr. But my book was preceded by several others, beginning with the government's own Government Printing Office 4-volume edition of General Porter's court-martial and trial transcripts, which came out in 1879. Worth reading, but a little bulky for these days and still quite rare. In 1950, another book that is now out of print is the celebrated case of Fitz Porter by Otto Eisenschimmel. I quote in part from this book, which by itself is worth reading but is long out of print. Other books have been written. One recent example is Fitz Porter, Scapegoat of 2nd Manassas. We often refer to in the North of the same battle as 2nd Bull Run. The Rise, Fall, and Rise of the General Accused of Disobedience, as by Donald German, Germann. There's other books besides these, also worth reading and interesting, because General Porter has encouraged authors from the time of the Civil War to write books, to dispute, to argue over what his role was. Was he a good general, a poor general, or something in between? I have a position that General Porter was one of the best and most patriotic generals of the Civil War on either side, and a very brave man. He deserves a monument. He did not get his monument placed in the center of town, at Market Place or Market Square, but he does have the monument standing in Portsmouth. It's within sight of the Navy Yard where his father was working. I know the monument says that his father was the commander of the Navy Yard, commandant of the Navy Yard. I'm not sure that is true. When General Porter wrote began his unfinished memoirs, he started describing that his father had been assigned to the Navy Yard in some capacity. He did not seem to be certain that his father was in charge of the Navy Yard. Let's go on now to the statue and monument of Fitz Porter, which was sculpted by the noted and really most famous Civil War sculptor of the time, James Kelly. James Kelly of New York had an idol, a hero during the Civil War, but it was not General Porter. His hero was General Thomas Meagher, nicknamed Meagher of the Sword, who came from Ireland and, like Kelly, had an Irish background. He went to war, the Civil War, under a green banner with the Irish Brigade of New York City. And we'll see that on this monument, in part, James Kelly was able to sneak in a tribute to General Meagher, the first of all the statues that would be erected to that hero of the Civil War on this same Porter monument. Let's go over to the monument and see it now. This is the statue that we're talking about in the monument to General Porter. The statue itself depicts Porter at age 40 in about 1862, before the Battle of 2nd Bull Run, during which he would be making reviews and saluting, as he has his Union cap at his chest, saluting the American flag. It's a depiction of him as a very patriotic soldier and a gallant-looking individual on a horse.
Okay.
The front tablet is arranged from beginning with the birth of Fitz John Porter in 1822 all the way to his death in Morristown, New Jersey in 1901. Most of his military career is the first half, but it is abruptly ended without mentioning Second Bull Run by name, saying cashiered January 21st, 1863. That was when the court-martial verdict was approved by President Lincoln and General Porter was no longer in the Army. The rest of the monument, front panel, describes people who helped him along the way to become exonerated. He's very grateful to his attorney, the best attorney in the country at the time, Joseph Choate, but he's also grateful to General U.S. Grant. Their judgment, which was to exonerate him, was approved by General U.S. Grant. At the time, General Grant was a citizen, a former president, but he had no official capacity. Nonetheless, General Porter knew that if something was approved by General U.S. Grant, that the country would follow, and he was extremely grateful all of his life that General Grant changed his mind and thought, when he realized General Porter was not guilty, that he, General Grant, should publicize that in the magazines of the time. He wrote an article favorable to General Porter, and in part, this monument stands because General Grant was persuasive to the majority of the United States that General Porter was a hero rather than a traitor. We couldn't tell the whole story in the few minutes we had, but if you get the book, Porter's Secret, Fitz John Porter's Monument Decoded, you can read the full story by WAYNE SOINI, S-O-I-N-I. Thank you.